Welcome to Sir Lancelot's Real Estate Roundtable, your guide to mastering the realm of real estate in Central East Florida. I am Sir Lancelot Leonard, ready to uncover the secrets of seller strategies, home staging, mortgage mastery, and more. From Daytona Beach to Cocoa Beach, Lake County to St. Augustine, join me as we navigate the intricacies of real estate. As the leader of the Sir Lancelot Group at Florida Homes Realty and Mortgage, I'm here to arm you with knowledge and innovation, whether you're a seasoned homeowner or a first-time buyer, unveiling the kingdom of real estate, one roundtable at a time. Today on the Real Estate Roundtable, we're thrilled to have a true expert in the field, Kellie Bowling. With over 15 years of experience in real estate, Kellie has carved out a name for herself on Florida's Space Coast. Her tech-savvy approach, combined with the concierge-level service, has helped her clients navigate the ever-evolving real estate market with ease. From her background in computer information systems to the deep involvement in local communities, Kellie's passion for real estate goes beyond transactions. It's about building lasting relationships. Get ready for an in-depth conversation about Space Coast market trends, neighborhood gems, and the future of real estate in Brevard and Indian River counties. Welcome to the pod, Kellie.
Hi, thank you. Thanks so much.
So, Kellie, 15 years in the business. Amazing. That's an accomplishment on its own. You know how people fall out in the first few years. You've been in for 15 years. That was about where the crash was happening.
Well, it actually it's closer to almost 20 now because it's been a minute since I updated that bio. But so I started in 2004 in the DC area as an assistant to a real estate agent. Up there, she was a powerhouse female realtor on her own, solo agent, and she exclusively sold waterfront on the Potomac River. Back then, $1 million properties. And so I would go to her house and do all of the things that had to be done, designing postcard for mailers and, doing actual mailing sheets. And I can remember having to pick up stacks of paperwork from her office because we didn't really have the MLS online back then. So, and just wanting to be like her, I'm like, I want that life right there. So,
so that was the tick.
Beautiful homes. Oh, for sure. It was like getting to go into these beautiful waterfront mansions on the Potomac River, like these $1 million homes, and just looking around and like a true appreciation for like the architecture and the design, and thinking like, how can I do this all the time? I want to do this all the time for a job. So she really put a foot up my rear and convinced me that I needed to get my license.
So you got your license and started rolling with it. Were you still working with her or under her? Or
when I got my license? No, because I lived in a different area. So I was commuting to her home and her office about, gosh, it was like an hour and 15 minutes because I lived in a very rural area of Southern Maryland at the time. So I did get my license. I went out on my own. And the market is so different there than it is here in Florida. That's one of the biggest things that I notice is like there's not a lot of inventory up there because the homes are so far apart in the rural sections. People tend to stay in their homes until they die. There's not a lot of transition unless you're near a base, which we did have a base near us, but very few of those military families were purchasing and then selling, in their turnaround time of, 3 years, 4 years, however long it was. So there just wasn't as much opportunity there. And I will say that I failed as a realtor there. I think I sold, I had one listing that sold that I recall, and I did help one buyer. And then I found myself being a single mom and needing super stable income and also needing my time because so many nights I'm on the phone with 3 small children, ages 4 and under that needed attention. And I'm like, I can't do this. I need a job where I can put them in a daycare for a set time. And then I can go to an office and punch a clock and get a stable paycheck. So I did that for, a couple years. And when I moved to Florida, I was here for, probably 9 years before I went after and got my license because I didn't know anybody. And I'm like, how am I going to sell if I don't know anybody?
I'll tell you just a quick snippet about that. I came here about 11 years ago from Hungary. I'm originally from Budapest, Hungary. I grew up there. Not a military brat, but my mom did work at the embassy for 22 years, 23 years. So I grew up speaking English. My mom's American. Went to Boy Scouts, Eagle Scout, et
Okay.
cetera, et cetera. But when I moved over here, everybody was like, well, just take your phone out and start calling your friends. I said, I don't have any friends. Brand new to this area. Like, who do
Right.
I call? The other bartenders or the bus boys? Or like, who's going to buy a house? You know?
Right.
So you got to build that up. And that's hard. And tell me a little bit about that. How did you start progressing in that part of your business?
Well, I think having my children, you're involved in their activities, and I was in a mom's group, and you meet some of the parents at their schools and things like that. But I'm not like an extroverted person. Like I'm not, I would much rather be home by myself. I'm such an introvert. And it was just kind of like my husband really was the push. He's like, you're looking at these houses online all day. It's not like we're shopping for a house, commenting on them. He was like, why don't you just go get your license? And I would argue with him, be like, I don't know anybody here. Who am I going to sell to? And it's expensive. Pay all these licensing fees. He's like, well, we have it. Like, go do it. And I ignored him for many years. And I don't know what changed. One day I just was like, okay, I'll give it a shot.
Okay. And then how did you build your marketing up? Did you just cold call or
I
that's
did.
tough for an extrovert or like introvert. I know
Introvert,
that
it's
because
hard. Like I did not do any cold calling. I would cold call for sale by owners. I would do that because you have their number,
yeah.
and that was challenging. It worked a few times, and I'm like, okay, maybe there's something here. I did a lot of online Facebook stuff with my friends. Had my social media account set up. This was even before Google My Business, but I did some advertising on like Yelp. Um, and of course, like my sphere. And my husband has, a bunch of friends here that he grew up in this area. So he has some contacts here that, is meeting over time, and people that he worked with because his company was based here, but they all worked overseas. So he was my salesman. He would just go over there and be like, oh, I'm thinking of moving close to like the home base over there, buying a house. And he's like, oh, call my wife, call my wife. So he was for sure. He's probably brought me more business than almost any avenue that I have paid for. So I should probably be paying him salary.
It's good to have a raving fan husband that
It really
is an
is. Yeah.
extrovert and likes to talk to
And
people.
yes, he is that person. He'll talk to anybody for sure.
Yeah. So but you touched a little bit about the online presence and stuff like that. So coming from your IT and computer information system background,
Right.
I think your awesome presence online, by the way, your TikTok, your Insta, your YouTube, all that stuff. Tell me a little bit more about that part. Like, how does that work together with your business?
I think that if you have to be able to be seen. So I'll give you the example of like when I first moved here to Florida, I was looking for somebody to cut my hair. And I came from a place where I had the same hairdresser for years and years and years. And obviously, I can't fly back every time I need a haircut. So I started going online looking for places, and there was only one salon that had a website. So I was like, well, it's a website. It doesn't look like, Larry down the street built it. It looks like somewhat professional. We're going to give them a call. So I found that place, and the same girl that cut my hair then, she's cutting my hair today. So all these years later. But I think having a presence so that people know where they can find you. So having your own website, not just using like the page on your real estate company's website, like get your own website. Also, Facebook is popular for that. I know I'll search for businesses on Facebook to see if they have a presence there. Kind of gives you a little bit more information too about like how long they've been operating, how active are they on social media too. Like don't just have a presence there, but like then never post. And then that just kind of led in with the whole meta thing with Instagram. I'm not super active on either, other than like posting regularly. A lot of it's auto posted kind of content. Trying to get better with that, with the stories and things like that. But the TikTok is really where our team does a good job of, I think, engaging with people and posting fresh content almost every day. We try to post every day, and through our YouTube channel, which we're also trying to grow as well.
Any challenges you faced while you were building this up?
Oh yeah, I mean, how do you get people to like it, follow it? Like no engagement on, everybody's really tired of seeing, oh, just listed, oh, under contract, just sold. Like nobody really cares. So you have to find a different way to put content in there that people are going to care about. And I have found that people really like it when you're sharing snippets from your actual life, like your dogs. Dogs are always a hit with people. So I'll share pictures of them. Sometimes I just had one here with me today. She's recovering from a surgery, so she was here at the office for a little bit. So I'll usually snap a picture and then say, we have an office doggy today or something like that. Things with your kids, events that you're going to, that kind of stuff gets a lot of engagement, I find, more so than like, oh, this is this beautiful house that I sold or whatever.
So talking about technology, do you see which direction do you see our industry going into? Like a lot of people talk about a lot of videos, etc. And I see more and more of my peers in my area doing videos. I started doing them about 2 years ago, and I back then maybe one other person was doing videos, and now I see
Yeah.
like everybody that follows
Oh,
me started doing the
everybody's
videos.
doing it. Everybody's doing it now. And even like, I used to have a rule like, okay, if it's a certain price point or higher, video has to happen with that listing. And then I see a lot of my peers here in the area, they're doing them at all price points. And, it can get expensive to do that, but it's just another piece of the marketing that it's becoming more common. So now I think sellers are going to be expecting, like, oh, you're going to be doing a video. Just like, nobody was doing drone shots or aerials with
Yeah,
their listings, 5 years ago, 7 years ago. They weren't doing that. And now it's like, it's pretty standard. We get it for all of our listings.
that's what I do too. I do videos on all my listings, and I do floor plans
Floor
and
plans,
interviews.
yeah.
Because
Hmm.
I go on and I look through these. We have some big shots in our area, and I look through their pictures, and I said, "There's no floor plan." I have people out of state looking at your $2-3 million listing, and they're like, "Hey, could you get us a floor plan?" I'm like, "I'll ask," and they're like, "Nope, we don't do floor plans."
Do
I'm like,
that.
"What? How much more does it cost to get a floor plan? $100? Like, come on, man! It's a
Yeah,
two
that's
million dollar
about the
listing.
cost. Yeah.
Get a floor plan. Get a good
Yeah.
walkthrough video that you could pop on YouTube and we could share with other people. So
Right,
I
right.
think
Yeah.
it's better for the clients, because not just the sellers but the buyers as well, because they get to see it, feel it before they have to go and take a look at it in person. So
Yeah.
I actually like the feel of this through the video, so I'll go look at it in person. It
Right.
takes a lot of weight off of our shoulders as buyers agents or listing agents to go and open the door, and
Right.
like, hey, here's the video. Take a look at this first. If you like it, let's go. I'll book it. Just
Right.
makes
And
it
even
easier.
still, even if you have all of those pieces in place, you will still get that feedback that says they didn't like the layout.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's like
okay.
I don't like the furniture in there. It's like, really? The furniture?
We buying
Oh yeah.
that?
Are you buying the furniture or you buy the house? I get that a lot. I'm pretty sure you do too. When the buyers are walking across the house, and I don't like the feel of this house. I'm like, are you picturing it with or without the furniture? Because this is not your furniture. Try to
Right.
look at it with an open mind and remove that. You know,
Yeah. Some people
this.
have a really hard time with that visualization. So
Yeah,
I get it. It can be difficult, especially if there's like some crazy paint colors on the walls and,
yeah,
maybe some flooring situations going on that they don't love. It can be really tough for some people to visualize. And then other people are like, oh, we'll take this wall out and we'll do this over here. And other people are great at it.
yeah. That's true. That's true. Well, with the AI coming out, talking about technology and everything, I think we'll be able to help them reimagine the spaces
Yes,
through the technologies that are coming out. I think that will be an amazing tool for us if we figure out
definitely.
how to tame it and work with it.
Yeah,
If
I
we,
mean,
if
we
we
have
knew.
what virtual staging already, and you can get renderings of like renovations that have been done. But that can get tricky too with like, making sure that people understand that that is just a visualization of what could be, not what's actually there and representative.
I was thinking more amongst the line of a current, let's say you have a current client. They're like, oh, I can't pick, I love the house. I love the area. I love the location, but the inside doesn't really feel right for me. And they're like, okay, how about I shoot you some pictures of how it could look like, renovated into whatever mid-century modern style that you like, or
Right.
French, and then you get those renderings from the AI. It produces it for you. Because that way, I know, let's say Box Brownie or whatever, they do it for
Yeah.
$25 a picture, but let's say we have AI and you're paying a subscription anyways that could do that. Now you're eliminating the $25 a picture. You just pop the pictures in there. It's like, hey, could you make this look mid-century modern for me? And
Yeah.
then they pop back the pictures, you send it to your client. Oh, I love this. It's
Yeah.
exactly what I was picturing. It's like, oh, here you go. This is your house then. You love the
Right.
location, you love the house. You didn't like how the inside looked like. This is how it could look like once you buy it and renovate it. That's
Yeah.
what my thought is,
Yeah,
going
for
that way.
sure. Their AI has come a long way already in this short little bit of time that we've had access to it. And I see like my brokerage is engaging with AI and has it in our platform that uses it for different things, like obviously to help you rewrite things. You can use it for that.
Yeah, yeah.
But also it uses some AI technology to try to determine which of your contacts are going to be likely to sell in the next year. I don't know what their algorithm is for that,
Ooh,
but it does give you a list, and then you can make an action plan to then reach out at different intervals to those people. So that's a really interesting one. And sometimes it does work. So it's definitely something to be paying attention to for sure.
definitely prompt the AI too to write your campaign for you.
Oh,
So,
100%. Yes. Yes.
yeah. So, you have deep involvement in like local nonprofits. How does that intertwine with your business? How does it shape your career?
I think, so my husband and I ran one together through it's really, he started it because he was fundraising for a big Ironman race that he was running. And he was working with another foundation to raise money for them. And he ended up raising almost $30,000 in a very short amount of time because he kind of signed up late for the race. He was the top earner for top fundraiser for that campaign that they did. And I'm like, what if we opened our own and you could do this for every race that you run and you could choose which charity you want to donate to each time, through the fundraising efforts, but we could then be a 501(c)(3) and you could just do it on your own and recruit other racers, people who are doing, either marathons or triathlons or whatever, to see if they would be interested in, partaking in that kind of fundraising event because he made a lot of friends in that community. And everybody was like, well, yeah, this makes so much sense. Let's do it as a fundraising event because some of these, we're not talking like your regular 5K, but we're talking like an Ultraman.
Yeah,
I don't know if you're familiar with those, but those are some like ultra triathlons.
I have a few of these guys back
Yeah, the
here.
Spartans hanging there. Yeah. So, and I don't know how people do it because I am not an athlete by in any way, shape, or form. Running, swimming, biking, not my jam. He's a great swimmer. He's got some knee injuries and things like that now, so he hasn't been doing a whole lot of that lately. But so we started out doing that, and we found a local foster parent organization, and we were donating all of our proceeds there because we saw a need in the community for that. I've also been involved with Junior League, who does a lot of local different projects that they'll take on in the community, a lot to do with children and moms that need a place to stay with their kids. So that was interesting. And now I'm working, volunteering with my local association of realtors for a couple of the different committees and, trying to help out there where I can also. I think it's good to know what the needs of your community are. I know we have a lot of homelessness here in my community, so that's one of the things that I would like to focus on in the future, and mostly as it relates to kids. And our board does have a foundation for that, so I
So
find that being
affordable housing and rental community
affordable
section,
housing.
etc.
Yeah, affordable housing is tough because there are initiatives here to try to implement that. And, I find so often that people that live in the surrounding areas, they give so much pushback to that because they feel like it's going to bring in like riffraff or something to their community. But what they're not understanding is that there's organizations here. We have one called Family Promise, and what they do is they'll house a family who has to go through a very rigorous application process to get in. And different churches will house the family for a week at a time and provide meals, childcare, et cetera, get the kids back and forth to school while the parents are doing like training so that they can get employment. And their success rate is actually really, really good, to getting the parents and the families graduated out of the programs that they're in their housing, and then now they can bring in another family. We have quite a few organizations here that work. We have some that help with the homeless veteran population that we have here. There's a local, like a church founded charity that helps with like showers and providing clothing and socks and toothbrushes and things like that to the homeless population that we have.
It's a
So
great
affordable housing,
initiative. I, I'm
it really
I'm
is.
I'm really I would love to be involved in that part. And we talked about a little earlier, me getting my contractor's license, etc. That's part of the deal. Since I run a 501(c)(3) for children already, I am planning on, if I could raise the funds and everything, to build affordable housing for families that
Yeah.
need it. I mean, think about it. Just a regular teacher and a police officer couple.
Yeah.
say make average 70, $80,000 a year, they don't get any incentives from the government anymore because their income is too high to get any incentives. So
Right.
a lot of that money goes out the window,
Yeah.
like average people that make 30, 40,000 a year, not even military and school, because they might have better health care or whatnot. But let's say
Right.
just regular people that make 80,000 a year. I know because I was there with my wife and we were like, we made $72,000 and we didn't qualify for Obamacare. We didn't qualify for anything. We had to pay full insurance, full everything. And I'm like, okay, it looks like we're making 80,000 on paper, but we're actually are making like 30,
Yeah. Yeah, for
because
sure.
all the difference in between, and then what can you get with 30,000 in today's market? Nothing,
Not a
So if we
lot.
could, not
Yeah.
a lot. Yeah, not a lot. Like you can't really buy a house unless you're getting down payment assistance and here and there. The realtor pitches in, everybody pitches in, and you could get something pretty much.
Right. Right.
I or you're getting it in not the neighborhoods that you would want to be
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's one of those things, and I think it's great that you're involved in the community like that. I really appreciate you for that. I think with the children and everything, it's great. I always love people like minded.
Kids and dogs are my two passions for sure. That's I've got a bunch of both, so.
Yeah, as you told me. So you've built a reputation of offering concierge style service. Tell me, what does that involve? How does that look like? What can a buyer or seller expect from you when you're doing your job?
Right. So that was really instilled by my team leader into me. We want to be boutique level for our clients. So there's a lot of hand holding that goes along with that along the way to make sure that they feel like they're being catered to. So that's, answering emails, not just during a set time of day, but on demand, essentially. Obviously, there are boundaries for sleeping and family time, but those are communicated to the client to let them know, hey, I'm going to be out of town, but I have this excellent team of other agents who's here for you if you need anything. We also have a full-time client care manager, so she's available to assist with questions that they may have throughout the process. So I think that's one of the biggest things. And then the other caveat to that is that after we close, I know a lot of people are like the churn and burn, like close, move on to the next. They don't even think about it. But we're available to get is like issues resolved after the closing. Like I just have a client that recently closed on a home, and situations like, oh, the ring camera. Well, we closed 2 weeks ago, but now they're just getting around to getting the ring camera set up, and we have to communicate to try to get that taken care of them, or they need passwords to the security system, or they need a vendor. Even years after the sale, hey, do you have anybody that you recommend to come paint or to put a fence in my yard or whatever? So we keep a list of those people that we've vetted through either having them service at our own homes, or we've used them multiple times for listings or other clients of ours. That does change from time to time as service levels change and things like that. So providing that kind of service and attention after the sale and then re-engaging those people. We provide them weekly, like a newsletter that has like a list of events in our area. And we get a lot of feedback from them that they really enjoy that. And they'll say, hey, we went to that, festival that you mentioned that was at Wickham Park last week, and that was a lot of fun. We wouldn't have known about it if you hadn't have sent that in your newsletter. So kind of providing that kind of stuff, and CMAs on demand, if they are like, hey, what do you think my house is worth? It's not like, okay, well, do you want to sell? And then I'll give you an answer. It's like we just provide the information when they're asking for it.
That's great, going above and beyond and building the client rapport is
Yeah.
amazing,
Keeping that relationship is key, I think, because so many people, they'll be like, oh yeah, I bought that. I bought my house 2 years ago. Oh, who was your agent? Oh, I don't remember. It was a lady. I don't remember her last name. So people just don't remember you.
I send out magazines every 2 months.
That's a good way to do it. Yes.
Here you go. It's like a market update or sort of,
Right.
good touch. I love it. And they love it too, because they're like, oh, this is amazing. It looks great. It's cool information, recipes, etc., etc.
Yes. Hmm.
It's good stuff. Old school, but I think it's great. Works fine, keep top of
Yeah.
mind. So, the Space Coast, it's constantly evolving. You guys got SpaceX, you got all that rockets going up over there, NASA, etc., etc. might be refunding NASA and starting to get some more stuff going on, which is amazing. I mean, you're like 60 minutes from me, pretty much, or NASA is.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
we love going down there and taking a look at that. We just my daughter, my 5-year-old, is amazed of spaceships and rockets and
Oh
all that
yeah.
stuff. She
Cool
loves that.
stuff. Yeah.
But that being said, your area is growing and it's getting bigger and better in a lot of ways. What trends are you seeing happening, and what do you think the future will hold for buyers and sellers in your area?
One of the biggest things I've seen is the growth of like the central part of our county and Vieira specifically. It's massive. When I first moved to Florida, I mean, Vieira was in existence, but it was nothing like it is today. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And they have, all these plans for more homes and more shopping and more schools and all of the things. But with that, comes the elevated prices. And if you had asked me, I mean, even in 2017, that will there be $1 million plus homes in Vieira? I would have laughed at you. And been like, no way. And now it seems like that's the trend that we're seeing. It's really tough to break into that market for like those younger families. But we do have a great area like in Palm Bay is exploding as well. And that seems to be like the more affordable area for some young families. And there's tons of schools, lots of shopping. And it is an ever evolving and changing area for sure in Palm Bay.
I was going to ask you about any hidden gem areas. I mean, Palm Bay, I'm guessing, is one of them. Any other ones that, let's say, a hidden gem for entry level and like a hidden gem for the upper echelon where they could like still buy it a good deal, but it's gonna become like the next hotspot.
Right. I
Yeah.
feel like for the entry level, definitely is going to be Palm Bay Southwest.
Mhm.
Would be a great area to start just because, it's a little bit more undeveloped. So there's a lot of new homes that are being built there. Um, but you're looking at like well water and septic systems out there, which a lot of people are averse to, and they're not sure why they're averse to it. They just think, oh, I don't want that. I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about why you don't want that. You know, what are you afraid of? So I have well and septic where I live out on the beach. So it is what it is. I grew up on that, where I came from, so it's not a big deal to me. But if people aren't familiar with things, they tend to be averse to things. And then for areas that are still kind of like reasonable, but also growing, I mean, West Melbourne to a point, it's somewhat reasonable. That would be one area. Um, Maybe Rockledge. They have some other areas in Rockledge that are reasonable.
Mhm.
I think that some of the surrounding areas need some updating to kind of get them up to par with people's expectations because it borders right there on Vieira. And, it's so close, but just not quite there. So the price points are quite different, but you're much more affordable, in Rockledge than you are in Vieira.
It's probably the next year, just
Yeah. And
being
beachside,
prepared.
beachside is like it's expensive, but it's old, it's mostly older homes. There's not a ton of land left. What is left
Mhm.
is ridiculously expensive. So that's kind of like the reach. But I do see a lot of homes that people will buy up and then they'll just tear them down and start from scratch. So we're seeing a lot of that happening on the beach side.
Talking about that, I saw one of your sales that looked like a townhouse or something like that. That looked amazing right on the beach. That one
Mhm.
of those that you're talking about, they tore it down and they built something
So
on
yeah,
the
that was
water.
actually a bigger home that people used to have events at that the developer tore the whole house down and then built, what is there, four or five? They're single families, but they're pretty close together and they each have like a private pool. They're right directly on the ocean. And it's zoned for short-term rentals. So you can Airbnb there and it's kind of was built as part of another development that's
Mhm.
like diagonal across the street that has single family and condos, same idea, all short-term rental zones. So, and that's in the South Melbourne Beach area. So
That
sometimes
is
you'll see
awesome. What's one of your favorite success stories with a client? And how did your unique approach make that difference, or
favorite
experience?
success story with a client. Gosh.
I told you about mine, the up and down the coast with the big sale.
Yeah,
That's one of mine. Do you have anything like that that you like went above and beyond? It's like, oh wow,
I
this is
feel like, I
awesome.
mean, everybody's a little different. I have a very recent one, and it's not a super impressive sale by means of price at
Yeah.
all. And Actually, it was in Titusville. I had a family who was looking to relocate to Georgia to be closer to family, to help out with the kids and stuff because both mom and dad are working. Dad's working in another area of the country, so it's really just her, they're in the thick of it every day with the kids. But their house had some challenges. Like they'd had to make some repairs to plumbing in the slab of their home. And they never got quite around to like the cosmetic fix. So they got to like the infrastructure fix, that was done, new roof, windows, doors, like all those big ticket things were done, but the cosmetics weren't there. So to show the home would be like nobody wants to buy this kind of situation. And it came as a referral to me from this outside agent that they were working with to look for their home in Georgia. Um, we were trying to use like an iBuyer, like an offer pad,
Yeah.
and offer pad did their inspection and then dropped the offer by like a crazy amount of money that just was not going to work for them financially, in their thought process. So I opened it up to like the investors that I knew in the area that were buying, distressed properties, and ended up with another realtor at another brokerage who brought her investor in. He made the offer, he did the inspection, and then he was like, I just don't think it's going to work mathematically. This number doesn't work that I came in at because I need to do A, B, and C. And so I was like, okay, I think a lot of agents would have just said, okay, we'll sign your release or whatever. So she sent it over to me and I texted her and I said, hey, is there a number that will work?
Yeah.
Is there a number that he'll buy this at? Like, what is his price to buy this house? So she's like, well, let me see if there is a number. So, and there was, and I took it to the sellers and I said, here's the number. I said, if I can adjust my commission to this amount, and if she can adjust her commission to this amount, will that work for you? And trust me, we're taking like nothing,
Yeah.
from the thing. But our mission was to get these people into a home, and without selling that home, they couldn't buy their next house. So we made it work,
That
and
is
it came
awesome.
together. And you do what you can. But these people, my sellers, they needed constant reassurance, phone calls, not a lot of in-person hand holding, but a lot of phone calls, a lot of text messages because they were very concerned. There was a lot on the line for them. She was starting a new job, moving out of state. He had plans to fly back to help with the move and all of that. And they were just like, is this going to happen? But I think that, for that little itty bitty bit of a payout for me, it was huge payout for me and like the karma, like the good
Oh yeah.
karma. And the other agent was more than happy to adjust her commission as well, just to get the deal done, to not only help her buyer, but, to come together for my sellers too.
Oh, the proof is in the pudding. What do realtors do for their clients above
Yeah.
and beyond? It's like, hey, it's just going back to like the NAR lawsuit and all that, like complaining
As
about
nice
what.
as it is to like, get a nice check at the end of the closing, sure, that's great, but it's not what it's all about to me. It's
No.
like,
Oh, I mean,
when you just see like how happy people are when they're buying their home, whether it's their first home or their 10th home, they're usually very happy. Very rarely do you get somebody who's just like, I
grouchy.
don't want
Oh,
this,
you sold my home. I'm not happy now.
right?
But
Yeah.
that's the truth. We are mayors of our little communities, and we help out wherever we can, however we can. And I think that's we can because we do get sometimes the big checks. I don't think I've had Ricky Carew talks about a lot, and he's like, I think like 95% of the time I give something out of my commission. I don't really get 3% commissions. Like that's what's
Right.
on the paper, but at the end of the day, I'm probably getting 2.5 because I'm buying a new water heater or an AC unit or or something. Uh, uh how do you call it?
Sort of a contribution of
Yeah,
some.
a lot of contribution that we put back into the deal, and then expenses, etc., and then community involvement. We spend money there for the community and all that stuff. So at the end of the day, we make like regular people do. It just
Yeah,
looks big
for
in the
sure. It
front
looks
end.
big, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, so it's time for your plugins. Kelly sold it, I guess, is
Yeah.
your handle for
Yeah.
all your platforms.
No, just so Facebook and for Insta, Kelly sold it. TikTok is at Coastal Estate Team for the team account, and my personal account, which doesn't have a whole lot of real estate going on there, is Kel Sells Houses. That's on TikTok for me. And our YouTube channel is at Coastal Estate Team also.
Thank you, Kelly, for being on the show today. It was wonderful. It was a pleasure. I hope we could do this again sometime, in the future, and we could chat about other things. related to real estate or whatever. This is great.
Yeah.
I want to see threes, both of us. We both run charities. I think that's amazing, and we're parts of our communities. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us on Sir Lancelot's Real Estate Roundtable, where we've unveiled the mysteries of real estate together. Remember, in this kingdom of possibilities, every dream home is just a discussion away. I can help your real estate dreams come true. Just call me at 786-449-7518. Until our next roundtable, may your ventures be prosperous and your homes be filled with love and joy. Farewell, fellow knights of real estate.